Hello. I'm so glad that you have come to join us as we continue our journey doing Lectio Divina through First John. We're in chapter 2, verses 12 through 17 today. I'm going to remind you, just in case this is your first time watching, that Lectio Divina is an opportunity to listen to a sacred text with the anticipation that Spirit will speak to us in the moment, that we will hear something that is intended for us right now. Something will lift from the text, that the word is alive, and it's not just the words on the page, it's the Spirit's the Spirit coming to us, mediated through those words. And so we listen from our heart. If you do Lectio at home, or have you never done Lectio at home, I encourage you to read the text not just to yourself, but aloud. When you read it aloud, you engage your body in hearing the message, as well as just your brain, because sometimes our brain skips over parts of a message because it has seen that before, or imagines it's seen it before, and it doesn't quite hear what the text might say. So when we engage our voice, we've got the vibrations of sound. We hear it in our ears. It vibrates because we're reading it to ourselves. It vibrates inside our head. So I want to invite you to slow down for a second. I'm slowing down for a second. Catch my breath. And I want you to listen for a word from the Lord. I will briefly pause afterwards, and at which point you can turn off the video if you want and just reflect on what image or word or phrase stood out to you and called to you. But if you continue on, it's a practice that I do, so I will share with you the text, or the part of the text that rose for me. For the last couple of weeks, I've been actually doing the reading of the text and have found that helpful. So I'm going to read to you today from 1 John chapter 2, verses 12 through 17. Listen for a word from the Lord. I write to you, children, because you have been released from your broken ways through the name of Jesus. I write to you, elders, because you have known the one who was there from the beginning. I write to you, young ones, because you have won the victory over the evil trickster. I have written to you, children, because you have known the Father, who is the Great Spirit. I have written to you, elders, because you have known Jesus, the one who was there from the beginning. I have written to you, young ones, because you are strong, with God's message firmly planted in your hearts, and you have won the victory over the evil trickster. As I listen to the text today, the phrase that stood out for me is the message firmly planted in your hearts. The text is clearly addressing the whole community, the people who are the leaders of the community, as well as those who are new to the faith. But it speaks of the message being firmly planted in the heart. And we don't think about that. I'm convinced I don't always think about that. When I'm listening for myself, I realize that I hear the message And I oftentimes focus on it with my brain. And there's a difference between the heart and the mind. Here I can think about it. I can break it apart. I can be rational about it. But when it's planted firmly in my heart, the center of my being, the ground of my being, the heart as the receiver as the organ that receives communication directly from God. If it's planted firmly in my heart, then it becomes more than just a thought. It becomes an action. It becomes a way of my living out what I may be called to do. And the message, as we heard last week, is the message of love, God's love for us, that is present for us. And if it's planted in my heart, then I live from that place, and the love shapes my action, my words, and even my thoughts. So I wonder, for you and for me, how we might live with the message firmly planted in our heart. A message of hope, of love, a message that we follow a different path than perhaps others might follow, a path of love that sets us free. Those are my thoughts in Lectio Divina today. I'd be interested, if you want if you'd share your thoughts. You can share them if you watched this on the Facebook page. I encourage you to share the phrase or thought that maybe spoke to you if you want. If you're watching this on YouTube, you could do the same thing if you're willing to share those things. But otherwise, until next week, when I come back to be present with you for one of several messages, but in this case, the Lectio Divina one, I wish you all the best. Remember, you are infinitely precious and unconditionally loved for the gift you already are. Until the next time.